Hello there, welcome to Sports International here on Press TV. Only one club has ever paid £80 million for a player, and that's Real Madrid. The La Liga giants look set to do that again as they attempt to smash the transfer record for Tottenham winger Gareth Bale. Spurs are reluctant to sell their star, but Real are trying to force their hand, and with a whopping £85 million deal reportedly on the table for a week now, the deal may be too good for Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy to turn down. Gareth Bale, back from the Asia Trophy, reported for the first day of training at Spurs on Wednesday. Being aware of the bid, the winger is reportedly becoming more frustrated with the situation. The bid does not include any Real Madrid players moving to Spurs as part of the package. Spurs chairman Levy is understood to be in Miami at the moment, and his and the club's stance: the Wales international is not for sale. Bale has so far kept his feelings to himself, making no public declaration about what he wants to happen next. Well, to talk about this news, we're joined by Andrew Hawesems. He's a freelance sports journalist and commentator from the UK. Thank you very much for joining us, Andrew. Andrew, can you tell us whether Gareth Bale is really worth this money? He's now more expensive than Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and any amazing player in the football world.
If you put aside the question of whether any human is worth £85 million or what we believe the bid to be, Bale is younger than Ronaldo, certainly. He's coming off the very best season he's had for Tottenham Hotspur, where he was exceptional. He was the heart of the team. He walked away with, you know, the major Player of the Year awards for the English Premier League. So he's highly rated. I think the thing is, he's probably that valuable to Tottenham in a sense because he's the player that they've ended up building their side round. Whether he'd be as effective for another team, be it Real Madrid or anyone else, and it's probably only Real Madrid who can realistically afford him, I'm not so sure. So I'm not necessarily sure he is worth the money, but Tottenham will drive a hard bargain, and Real Madrid have made their admiration for the player pretty clear. So the ball might actually seller's court, as it were.
So do you think Tottenham will finally sell the player or no?
I think the likelihood is there have been one or two sort of reports emerging in Britain today that Bale has spoken to the Tottenham manager Andrew Hawesems and said that he'd like to move. That's not been confirmed by anyone officially. It's one of those whispers that have sort of been leaking out. So that increases the likelihood of a move, obviously, when you have a unhappy player, and Spurs eventually had to sell Luka Modric in a similar situation to Real Madrid. So the other thing is Bale still has 3 years, I think, left on his contract. He's coming off the best football of his career. So if you are going to sell him, bearing in mind his age of sort of mid-20s, he's probably at peak value. So I would say the likelihood is, because Real Madrid are so keen, because it appears the player wants to go, everything will combine for him to be sold eventually, I think. But I'm sure you can expect it to be drawn out more negotiation yet.
Well, Andrew, you are saying that keeping an unhappy player, and Gareth, we've not had any confirmation whether how he feels at the moment, if he's interested to go or not. He's not been giving any public declaration, but he is unhappy with £85 million. This is like huge money. And what does this mean, keeping an unhappy player in the squad? And how will it affect the morale of Gareth himself and, of course, other players?
Well, Bale, I think, is generally perceived as a sort of team man, a fairly sort of quiet guy. He's not likely to really sort of disrupt the boat, not do something radical like Pierre Van Hooijdonk did many years ago and kind of go on strike and refuse to play when he couldn't get a move. I think you can probably count that out given Bale's nature. But in the long run, like I say, you look back to the situation that Tottenham had with Luka Modric. They were able to keep him for a year, an extra year. But in the end, ultimately having a frustrated player, it can have an impact on the sort of rest of the dressing room. If the rest of the dressing room knows that player wants to go, his mind is on other things, not necessarily giving the best for the team he's at. These kind of things can cause problems, and in the end, you know, players do have much more power with the way their contracts run down on the Bosman ruling, and they can, you know, eventually they're more the masters of their own destiny than they used to be, certainly.
Well, Andrew, taking the fact that Gareth is quite a very young player compared to Cristiano Ronaldo and the other players, what are the expectations from Gareth if he does leave and goes to Real Madrid? Will he be able to live up to the challenges that he faces?
That's, I guess that's the key question. It's been subtly interesting to note that during pre-season, Cristiano Ronaldo's had a more central role for Real Madrid, which might indicate, well, maybe they'd like someone to come in on the left-hand side, which is Gareth Bale's natural position. Can he produce the same form in Spain that he can in England? I think it's difficult because, again, talking about his personality, he's sort of fairly quiet and reserved. The adaptation to living in a foreign country, dealing with, you know, different food, different weather, different media expectations, all that kind of thing. You'd anticipate that would take a bit of time. We know the style of the Premier League is unique, the kind of 100 miles an hour style of Premier League football compared to the slightly slower style, if you like, of Spanish football. So you would have to assume, in the same way that players from overseas often, you know, take a season perhaps to adjust fully to the Premier League, that there might be an adjustment period. But at the same time, he's still got a lot of pace and a lot of ability, but I'm not sure it would come out immediately at Real Madrid, where, again, the team wouldn't be quite so focused around him as it's come to be at Spurs.
Thank you very much, Andrew Hawesems. He's a freelance sports journalist and commentator joining us from the UK.